Hey there, viewers. Welcome to the Daily Space Weather and the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. We're delighted to have you, and frankly, we're surprised that you found the channel. Despite it being the most comprehensive space weather and detailed imagery you'll find of the closest star. We do it for the sake of cosmology, something I almost majored in back in the mid-1990s, back before there was a common major of stellar cosmology at most universities. We're starting things out looking at the last 24 hours of the closest star here in 131 plus 171 angstroms. Let's go on a guided tour here, starting with the northwestern limb. A bunch of filaments there around the north polar region. One of these has a name. It's the Stella-Lescher filament, this one over here. We've got some active regions setting there in the northwest. Let's take a look at the southwest. A series of minor sunspot groups in the southern hemisphere. They are magnetically complex, so they do have the possibility of producing some solar flaring. How about the southeastern limb? That's where most of the activity's been. This new rising group here has produced some C-class flares. We'll get to it later in the video. And we've also got a new sunspot group that just rose here in the northeast. That'll be like 3211 or something like that. We'll get to the naming here a little bit later in the video when we talk about sunspots. Let's take a look at yesterday plus today in SDO intensity gram. There are your sunspot groups there, largely stable over the past 24 hours, except one new group formed out here as well. So we've got two new sunspot groups at least. Make it three. Because when we look at the latest image, we've got a sunspot group forming up here as well. So at least three new sunspot groups likely to get names today. That's a solar uptick. Here's your SDO magnetogram yesterday plus today. And let's take a look at Croissant Earth, as I'm interested in what volcanoes are erupting. Volcanoes, active volcanoes, they're on my bucket list. So I wouldn't mind taking a trip to the Kamchatka Peninsula. That would be exciting. Shiveluch is exploding there and producing a 13,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. It's a flight level 130. Please do not fly your weather balloon over Shiveluch. Abiko, also producing a 12,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Suwanosejima, 6,000-foot volcanic ash plume there. It's a flight level 060. Semaru exploding. That's an uptick at Semaru, 17,000-foot ash plume. I don't remember it ever producing that much ash. So it looks like a volcanic uptick on East Java. Flight level 170 over Semaru. Flight level 130 over Sumatra as a result of Carinci exploding. Popocatépetl exploding in central Mexico. Flight level 200. Looks like a worldwide volcanic uptick since our report on yesterday's Daily Space Weather video. Fuego no volcanic ash emissions observed over Guatemala. Sangay in Ecuador exploding, flight level 200. It's a 20,000-foot ash plume over Sangay. Cotopaxi. What do we got? Thermal images haven't shown any significant changes in comparison to previous flights. So Cotopaxi looking stable, unable to detect Sabancaya. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Let's check seismicity. There's the past 90 days. In a convenient bar graph form. We have seen 2 days in a row here of a slight seismic uptick, and a quick reminder that any earthquake can be a foreshock. So if you have a 6 or a 7 magnitude earthquake where you're located, don't assume that that's the big one. I mean, there may be more earthquakes to follow. You never know. Sometimes we get advanced warning in the form of foreshocks. Largest quake of the past 24 was a 5.8 in the Izu Islands region there, just southeast of Japan. That one came in at 03 this morning, just after midnight Universal Time. Chile also had a 5.5. That was at 1:02 a.m. Universal Time this morning. Tonga had a 5.0 at 5:12 this morning. And some quakes in the western U.S. as well. And let's get back to space. But first, you're invited to check our links. If you haven't checked out our links, check them out. Mensa, Make Earth Not Suck Again. That's today's featured product, and you'll save 20% site-wide. So if you're planning on picking up some merch, now's a great time to do it. For you international viewers out there, these products do indeed ship internationally. In fact, the Make Earth Not Suck Again products have made it all the way to Tasmania. So there's a little tidbit for you, yeah. Make Earth Not Suck Again. It's part of the reason why we have a channel. We filled a niche for space weather. You would think Elon would be watching the channel, since it would have saved his Starlink satellites that he crashed a couple of years ago by launching them into a geomagnetic storm. So yeah, save 20% site-wide. Visit the links below the video. You'll find the Redbubble shop. The items will be linked there in order of best selling, which may or may not reflect the political views of the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. You can also support the channel via Patreon. We do have 3 membership levels over there. Thanks to our patrons, the most bestest way to support the channel would be by becoming a member of the Smash Team. So smashomash.com/Smash Team is our own subscription services site. You can also find links to the Hemp Lucid shop and more. More on that later in the video as well. Also, if you want to send me an instant message, you can find the permanent link to our Discord chat. Drop us a line in the Smash Team chat room over there on Discord. We'll be using that in future to bring you, the viewer, onto the channel, to have guest appearances, make phone calls, answer questions in real-time voice. Anyway, so support us via Smash Team. The best value is the Gold annual paid-up subscription. It's like getting 4 months of the Gold membership for free because of the complimentary merch. Smashomash.com/Smash Team. Here are some more ultraviolet wavelengths from SDO. So all of these AIA images here, like 193 and 171 angstroms depicted here, they're all portions of the ultraviolet light spectrum, extreme ultraviolet light. So this light doesn't make it down to ground level. You need spacecraft to indeed see these wavelengths, and they tell us about some of the chemical behavior on the sun. Those are both species of ionized iron, and here are some other species of ionized iron. This is 335 angstroms, and ionized helium, which is 304 angstroms. That shows great depth, and you can also see great contrast for filaments, like these huge filaments down here. Yowzers. That is some pretty big prominence happening down there. We'll be keeping an eye on that and letting you know if anything goes on with that. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux has come up as forecast yesterday. It's now at 139 solar flux units. So again, a minor uptick there in solar activity. We'll see this black line come up here just below 140. That's the 10.7 centimeter radial flux. The black line is the 1-year graph of it, conveniently supplied by Solon.info. Now, no space weather storms here forecasted by NOAA. We are expecting a coronal mass ejection impact mid to late day on February 8th. So besides that, we're also expecting a coronal hole high-speed stream to show up, let's see, sometime late in the day on the 6th, early in the day on the 7th. So we can expect to see a little bit of an uptick in the solar wind from that, as well as there are coronal hole high-speed streams out there. Just a matter of whether they'll reach Earth or not. Planetary K-index here is at 1.33. That's a measurement of global geomagnetism. And thanks for leaving comments, Mike Bordages. Good morning to you as well. Next, we're looking at Earth's magnetic moment from space. This is magnetohydrodynamic pressure depicted by this space weather modeling framework model. Again, geomagnetically calm conditions here. Some minor variations there in the solar wind depicted by the space weather modeling framework. That's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. We'll also show the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. So there you have that. That'll show you the most likely places to see power grid induction, railway and pipeline induction, also the aurorae. The units depicted here are nanotesla, which are magnetic flux density. Should be the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground here, fairly calm. Next, the real-time solar wind. Pretty unremarkable here in the past 24 hours. The current conditions are about 344 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. Solar wind density 4.4 protons per cubic centimeter. Nothing too exciting happening there. Goes magnetometers here. Seeing some higher lows and lower highs. It's in a tighter range than it was yesterday. Fairly uneventful there as well. Earth lies in a South Pole current sheet, which we're looking at the heliospheric current sheet here. The polarity of it is South Pole if you're at the Earth. There's a South Pole current sheet depicted in red. North Pole current sheet here on the opposite side, swinging back around here. So we remain in the South Solar Polar region at the moment as we watch solar cycle 25 progress. Let's take a look at the line of sight field plot. It'll depict the sun's B field in blue. And it looks all fanned out because, well, we've got an even split here. Most of the north polar field is on the opposite side of the sun. Most of the south solar polar field is on this side of the sun. And the B field here is pretty homogeneous. So a great example there of the evolution of the solar cycle. And let's switch to our coronal hole line of sight plot. Since we've got considerable South Pole-oriented coronal holes here at the moment, and a bit of magnetic indecision happening there in the east. We do have some North Pole-oriented coronal holes there rotating in the southeast and the northeast. What the heck happened? There we go. There is our 211 angstroms wavelength from SDO. And this coronal hole right here, again, we can expect to see some high-density plasma showing up here late in the day tomorrow. I would say at the latest. Late in the day tomorrow, we can expect to see a density spike, the leading edge of a coronal hole high-speed stream. Whether it'll cause geomagnetic storms or unrest is all determined by the magnetic field strength of the plasma and so forth. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. In the meantime, let's take a look at sunspots. Pardon our late Sunday coverage, by the way. Not as late as some days, but coming at you a little bit later than normal here as we readjust our sleep schedule. So here's the sunspot situation. Again, we can expect to see two or three new named sunspot groups. Let's take a look at those. There is your SDO 171 plus continuum wavelengths. We'll zoom in a little bit closer there. So yeah, new sunspot forming down here. Also one just rose up here and one formed up here. So here is your SDO continuum by itself. 3 new named groups today, so probably also we'll see another increase in the radio flux. No surprises there. It never got below 130 solar flux units. As the ongoing solar uptick increases. Yes, we're not at solar maximum. I know there might be a lot of channels whose nonsense relies on us being at solar maximum to prove their cherry-picked garbage about a grand solar minimum, something that we don't see happening. Let me say it once again, folks. If all of the data refutes your hypothesis, abandon your hypothesis. You've painted yourself into a wall, and you're incorrect. So just move on with life and don't attempt to gaslight people. You will fail. And if you give up your credibility, good luck getting it back. Next, looking at energetic particles. The GOES proton flux here remains flatlined. It takes as little as 20 minutes for relativistic particles to often show up and cause enduring, sometimes week-long polar radio blackouts. At the moment, the proton flux here lacks significant relativistic particle spikes. We have had 2 significant C-class intensifications in the past 24 hours. That one is nearly a, let's see, that's a C6.7 approximately. And that's a C6.5. So those did not produce any relativistic particles. Let's see where they came from. Looks like one came from this new sunspot and one came from over here at the limb. And thanks again, Twitch viewers, for leaving comments. If your hypothesis requires a grand solar minimum to come true, your hypothesis is incorrect. Solar cycle 24 was a weaker solar cycle than solar cycle 25. You need consecutive weak cycles for a grand solar minimum, folks, and that's not occurring. So there's 131 angstroms. Let's also add 171. There's 171 plus 131. Great at showing the activity. Again, there are quite a few active regions likely on the opposite side of the sun here at the moment, so those will be rising here in just a few days. The sun not shutting down, not going to kill you, and space not scary. Next, looking at a star chart. So this is what's going on above our heads over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania here. The sun just entering the constellation of Capricorn. It's being chased by Saturn, by the way, which just rose, and it's chasing Mercury. So that aqua line there is the ecliptic. And let's take a look at a solar system forecast. Here's where things are today. Let's advance this 1 week. There's where things will be on February 12th. We will still have a gibbous waning moon by that point as the moon moves into last quarter. Next, looking at some coronagraphs, as we've had some significant coronal mass ejections, including a stealthy one, which I believe is earthly directed. Here's the view from Stereo A and the view from Soho Lasco C3. So what we're talking about here is right around this moment, you're going to see a bunch of ejecta kind of headed down the earthly pipeline, right? Like this. That's the direction Earth would be from Stereo A's perspective. Let me just go back to the diagram here once again. Stereo A is at Lagrangian 0.5. It trails the Earth orbitally speaking, but sees space weather ahead of the Earth. So right there you can see there is some ejecta kind of on the north-south Earth line there. The real question is it headed toward Earth? Because there are a bunch of CMEs here happening at the same time. So if you look at this, you can see a bit of a halo happening. And there is some ejecta on the opposite side of the sun as well. So I believe some of that does have an earthly component there, as lots of things ejecting all at the same time. It's, it's a little bit, it's not as clear as it could be. But stealthy ejections are a thing, folks. So we'll just let this play through here, and then we'll show you some imagery. Draw your own conclusions and let us know in the comments what you think. I think we will see a coronal mass ejection strike late in the day on the 8th. As it takes about 3 days and change for most ejecta to show up, and that's not at a particularly high or low speed. It's just kind of normal speed ejecta there. It is following a coronal hole high-speed stream, so we might see a significant signal from that, as plasma has a tendency to sweep out the material in between the Earth and Sun. So it sort of clears things out because of things like polarization and push-pull reactions and so on. Lots of stuff going on out there that is not evident from this data. Keep in mind the sun is still quite far away at about 93 million miles. That's the past 24 hours, and quite a few CMEs happening in that period. Let's zoom out a little bit to show a little bit more of the Soho Lasco C3. And how about even farther? There we go. So a little bit of that ejecta is likely directed at the Earth here. It could be off to the west, but I would suspect that we will see a minor CME impact here on the late in the day on the 8th. So that's my stance. I'm sticking to it. Again, let us know in the comments what you think. Lots of CMEs happening there. Next, let's take a look at filaments. So we've got some named filaments here. We've got the Stella Lesher filament up here. And we got the Hulk Hogan filament down here. Nobody named either of these yesterday. So, I mean, I think there should be probably, at least this prominence should probably be named. This one right here. Oh, come on, mouse. Oh, my gosh. Hardware. Hardware, folks. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like functional hardware, folks. All right, so let's just bring up the latest image here as we've got some filaments to name besides the Hulk Hogan. I mean, this one down here might deserve a name also, but certainly this prominence. So you're invited to Twitter, and you can't name the filaments in the YouTube comments. You got to name them on Twitter. Name that filament. Since it's Since it's space weather and nobody sees the tweets, thanks to pathetic shadow bans and deboosting features remaining in place on the junkware platform known as Twitter, the crime scene that Elon took over and then took private, and which essentially remains a crime scene, which misleads users and advertisers and so on. But in any case, join us over there. If you don't have an account, why not get one? Tell Elon what you think about censorship. We are free speech purists on the channel. Yeah, we are furious free speech purists. We believe all legal speech should be encouraged. The answer to bad ideas is better ideas. Not attempting to silence people. That does not work. It does not help. And all it does is create all sorts of animosity. What the hell? Who saved it as a draft? Why would I do that? Just tweet it. It has to do with my keyboard shortcuts for OBS, folks. Anyway, that tweet has been sent. Again, if you want to name filaments after living people, do it on Twitter. You can also find a link to our free samples for mushroom gummies. Yeah, they don't even charge us shipping, I'm told. You can find a link there pinned to the Twitter feed. If you want to try out some mushroom gummies from Hemp Lucid, you can find the link right there. You can also find links below the video to the Hemp Lucid shop. So check that out. Thanks to everybody who's picked up products, and thanks to Hemp Lucid, possibly our best affiliate/sponsor ever. There's the past 24 hours in ionized helium alone, 304 angstroms, from the great high-resolution imagery of the SDO. Now let's take a look at the GOES 16 SUVI. So that's 284 angstroms. We don't always show that. But there you go. Something different. It's great at showing active regions and the extended corona. And it looks like the corona is being withheld back here. Maybe a coronal hole behind that sunspot or something like that, but that is a new sunspot group. And that brings us to our bonus features segment. So moving on to bonus features here, we're looking at satellite charging hazards first. And it's clear sailing for satellites at the moment. No charging hazards of the surface or internal charging variety. The GOES electron flux here is still kind of low. And when the coronal hole high-speed stream shows up in a day or two, we can expect it to be a little bit lower, but not much. And NOAA kind of agrees there. So it doesn't get much lower than it already is, but we can expect it to be a little bit lower here. A regular feature of coronal hole high-speed streams. There's the one-year chart to put the relativistic electrons in context. They're measured at the F layer of the ionosphere, so let's show that as well. The vibrational frequency of that layer of the ionosphere depicted here in megahertz. So we do see continued anomalies happening here, and if you're not familiar with this imagery, that's okay. We'll show you the anomalygram as well. So we'll let that play through one more time here. And then we'll show the anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. South Atlantic anomaly appears to be back over the South American continent once again. Very interesting indeed. And it just stopped playing because reasons. I was just about to show you how good of a site this is. It's got all kinds of additional data here that you may have never even checked out. It's the Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology website. You can find ionogram viewers, lamp charts, the T-index, whatever that is, high-frequency radio conditions, polar cap absorption, all kinds of great features there. Anyway, there's the latest image that is 1300 universal time ionogram and 1300 universal time anomalygram. Great, and by the way, you can see the African anomaly as well. It's like right here, right near the west coast of the equatorial Africa. And then you've got the South Atlantic anomaly now back over the South American continent, somewhere around here. Certainly interesting. And let's take a look at the total electron content as well. We've seen significant anomalies here. So let's see what's going on. The total electron content is the free electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. And here it is. So significant GPS errors continuing here over North America. Not sure if there are any Chinese balloons jamming it or getting jammed up anybody's you-know-what, because, it's the array hanging on the bottom is the size of 3 city buses. And there's one over South America now as well. What could possibly go wrong? I guess not very much. China, it's a paper tiger. I don't know why propagandistic media has you so frightened of it, but it's not scary at all. It's held together with bubblegum and dental floss. Anyway, that's our total electron content forecast. Fairly average here. I mean, nothing too out of the ordinary. You can expect to see this get a little bit more chaotic when we see the coronal hole high-speed stream show up. And let's take a look at the latest intensitygram and latest magnetogram, since we've got a new sunspot having just risen here. It's pretty minor. It looks like it's only alpha class so far. I only see one umbra. Interestingly enough, it looks like a South Pole umbra leading it there. We'll have to wait until that gets into a little bit better view, but do we also have another sunspot up here? Yeah, so there's another sunspot group that could get named up here. That's 2, and then there's one down here as well. So 3 new sunspot groups likely to get names today. 2 of those are beta-gamma class groups. 1 is an alpha class group so far. One last thing, is this area down here a sunspot? Nope, just a plage. And it's time to get into the meteorology segment. So we throw this in because I realized, and thanks for leaving a comment, Tinman1057, good morning to you as well. We realized 15 years ago that it's too easy to forecast the weather, but we decided to bring it anyway. And in doing so, we realized that the channel needs sponsors/affiliates. So you can find links below the video to the Hemp Lucid shop. Great products there. We may do a product review today because we were sent a whole bunch of different products here to review, including gummies and other capsules and things. So I suspect we'll probably do that later this afternoon. We might even do a YouTube live stream. Maybe we'll even live stream that and make it into a Q&A session / product review. I don't know. Maybe we'll turn it into a cosmology segment. Anyway, thanks to all you great folks out at Hemp Lucid and all you great folks who've picked up products. You can find links on the homepage as well. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance, smashomash.com. Find us all over social media. Drop us a line on your favorite social media. Assist the channel with clicks. Pick up some merch. Check out the forum. Or join the Smash team if you want to support the channel via subscription services. And here comes meteorology. But first, make sure you press like and subscribe on YouTube, as if that's going to do anything. A couple days ago, we asked for 50 likes, and we would have done a live stream. It hasn't happened. We haven't seen 50 likes on a view for like a month or something like that. Shout out to David Dubine. Perhaps bring us on the channel, or maybe you're just chanting grand solar minimum, grand solar minimum. Not sure. But yeah, thanks to all of our YouTube subscribers for tolerating the pathetic censorship on the platform. Next, we're looking at the coldest place in the world because temperature's been a story for the past couple of days. So there you have the coldest place in the world. It's in Siberia at the moment, and it's about negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, it's colder than Antarctica in Siberia, also colder than Greenland. And of course, the northeast of the U.S. is getting a little bit of a respite now. We are expecting in eastern Pennsylvania to have temperatures into the 40s Fahrenheit today, so that's the current situation. Still kind of cold there in northern Canada. But anyway, that's what's going on in terms of temperature. Let's take a look at wind conditions. That is how she blows for the eastern world. Those are the jet streams. And let us know if you've got any imagery of Chinese balloons. Next, there are the jet streams over the Americas. And I don't know what's going on down here, but there's a balloon over Costa Rica somewhere. So I don't know. Is it gonna end up here blowing over the Leeward Islands, or what's gonna happen? I don't know. It's anybody's guess. Maybe Costa Rica will scramble jets and shoot it down. Who knows who honestly cares? And who knows how to block radio transmissions from a spy balloon? Yeah. Certain entities are more than capable of doing so. Check it out. We got an anticyclone here over the western Atlantic. Clockwise rotation detected. Clear skies likely around Bermuda. These are the winds of the central world. It's still windy in the eastern Mediterranean there. Check it out. Also a strong low here in the Southern Ocean, rotating clockwise. Here are the jets of this side of the planet. And if you're on this side of the planet, let us know if you've got any Chinese balloons on your radar there. We probably won't cover it because it's very uninteresting. It seems like something major must have happened yesterday because of all the stupid stories about irrelevant stuff. Now we're looking at clouds and fog over the Americas. Yeah, it's like when you get a story about the world's oldest dog at age 30, as well as stories about Chinese balloons all day long, you have to ask yourself, did something major actually happen that's causing the media to cover such a bunch of crap? Let us know in the comments what you think. We try to make the videos as interactive as possible. Here's our weather.gov map, by the way. If your location is lit up, there is the key. And if you don't know what your weather alert is, perhaps head to weather.gov and click your location. Looks like a great day for surfing once again in Hawaii. Let us know if you've got some imagery of great waves. So since temperature's been in the news, here is our GFS 72-hour temperature forecast. Again, we are expecting temperatures into the 40s in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. If you're wondering where it is, we're located right about there. Maybe 20 miles west of New Jersey, give or take. There's your temperature anomaly forecast based on the same model, the GFS 72-hour. And we are closing out the coldest time of the year for the Boston to D.C. corridor. That takes place between mid-January and mid-February. So it's going to feel like a spring thaw today, and actually a lot of thawing will occur because the Lehigh Valley is a block of ice at the moment. There's your GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast, as there's quite a bit of snow here continuing, wet snow, west of the Rockies. So a lot of Colorado and hot air. Looks like it's shutting down the snow east of the Rockies. And we're going to talk snow here in a minute. First, your snow depth forecast. This will be the European model. And let's zoom in just a little bit there. So there's the zoom that shows most of the lower 48 states of ALSA, the allegedly United States of America. And let's advance this 3 days. This is the European forecast for snow through 12 noon. So there's now, and there's 12 noon on the 8th. Looks like Oklahoma's going to get a little bit of additional snow there according to the European model. And let's take a look at snow here, as we are seeing a significant snow year once again here. So it looked like it was going to be more average, and it's come up a little bit. So the extent is still on the low side. So the extent is the two-dimensional snow. In other words, the amount of area on a two-dimensional map here, it's at the low end of the one standard deviation range there for the 1998 to 2011 range. The water equivalent is actually quite high here. So snow water equivalent, well above one standard deviation above normal. So there's lots of snow to melt. And the snow mass balance here has now moved way up. So now we're just pushing over one standard deviation above the 1982 to 2012 average. Could it be a seventh winter with record snow in the northern hemisphere? I don't know, but that's a lot of snow. Keep in mind that does not include mountains. Snow mass balance here just about to push once again outside of the 30-year average. While we're here, here's a map, by the way. There is the snow cover by Rutgers. And let's move on to a lightning mapper. Do we have any terrestrial lightning? Looks like we had a little bit of lightning in Northern California there. Here's a real-time lightning map from blitzachtung.org, powered by lightningmaps.org. Thunder and lightning continue in the eastern Mediterranean. I'm sure somebody on the internet will tell you that it's directed energy weapons, so I don't know what to tell you. It's just lightning. Mankind does not control the weather or the climate. Here's your U.S. Doppler radar map. We'll focus on the lower 48 to close this thing out. There is Doppler radar. Here is clouds and fog. NASA GOES interactive weather satellite 3.9 nanometer infrared radiation map. And there is water vapor. As we bring the view all the way from space, all the way down to your planet. You're welcome, Earthlings. Here's your recap. U.S. Doppler radar. Clouds and fog. Also not scary, by the way. And there is water vapor. Looks like clear skies over Louisiana, as there is relative high pressure in place. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network. Once again, we are surprised that you found the channel. Visit the links below the video and help support the channel. Thanks to everybody who has. We'll see you soon. In the meantime, I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back. Facts stated in this video suppressed to improve your online experience. Opinions stated in this video not necessarily the opinions of the Smash News Network, least busted name in now.